it is not only nationwide, but there are local and are they squadrons? Did I hear you say?
Yes,
is that correct?
right.
Explain to me how everything is formatted.
Well, it starts out with a national headquarters. Civil Air Patrol's national headquarters is at Maxwell Air Force Base in Alabama, and then each state has their own cadre of Civil Air Patrol organizations organized as a wing, and this organization structure follows pretty closely the Air Force organization structure. So in Maryland, there is a Maryland wing, and the Maryland wing includes 25 squadrons that are scattered across the state, 2 of them here on the Eastern Shore, one in Salisbury and one in Easton. And the squadrons are kind of the basic unit for activities with Civil Air Patrol. They don't stand alone, but they basically operate semi-independently for training activities, for their outreach to the community, for their recruiting, for their fundraising, those kinds of activities. And then whenever we are asked to perform a function for the Air Force, the wing takes over, provides the general direction, determines which units will be needed or which units are appropriate for a particular function, and calls those units in, either one or a number, and they provide the overall direction, but the manpower is provided by the local level.
Are you also funded by the United States government, by the Air Force?
We get basically no funding from them. We are provided with some equipment and some assets by the Air Force. Our aircraft are provided by the Air Force, our vehicles are provided by the Air Force, and our communications equipment. We have a standalone communications capability, and that's provided by the Air Force. As far as, and we do get some, the young people get some of their uniforms through the Air Force, but all of the other activities are basically paid for through our own fundraising activities.
You mentioned one of the primary missions is search and rescue.
It is indeed.
Here in the Salisbury area, Wicomico County, on the Eastern Shore, how exactly do you get involved? Does the call come to you when they need your assistance? And when you get the call, what exactly does the CAP do to assist local agencies in search and rescue?
Okay. There is a chain of command that has been established for the squadron level, and we work up through, well, works the other way. We have, Civil Air Patrol has a number of agreements with local agencies, memorandums of understanding, and whenever a local agency needs some assistance that Civil Air Patrol can provide, they contact the Air Force, the National Operations Center of the Air Force, and that center tasks the Civil Air Patrol wing to provide that support service. But it can work very informally in that, yes, they have the memorandum of understanding, there's this formal procedure that they go through. On the other hand, it's very easy for them to contact one of our people, and the Wicomico County Emergency Management Agency, for example, has contact information for CAP. They contact us informally. We can call the NOC, tell the National Operations Center that this is necessary. They get an informal conversation, and in just a few minutes can authorize the wing to go ahead and proceed to provide that support.
Got it. And what type of services would you be providing?
Manpower.
Manpower? From the air, from the ground, from the air and the ground?
And from the ground. Again, depends on the need. Most recently, there was a gentleman that wandered away from home in Salisbury, and the police department was notified by the family that he was missing, and police department said, we need people to search for this gentleman who was missing. Contacted the National Operations Center, who called us out. We responded within just a short period of time. I think we got notified around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we have a team out starting the search around 6 o'clock in the evening on a 20-degree evening. And our team worked with the police department until 3 o'clock in the morning, and then another CAP team came in and relieved us. Turned out the gentleman had somehow gotten up to Delaware and was discovered up there, but we had a team of young people and adults out at night, searching the area where the police thought it was most likely that he would be found.
What is your primary function in the air?
Again, search and rescue is the primary function, but we're also becoming involved in some of the homeland security activities. The used to be that the big mission was an airplane's down, we've gotten word that an airplane is missing, call out the air reserves that Civil Air Patrol has, because we're very cost effective compared with calling out an Air Force function, and begin a search and go with whatever information you can get about where the airplane left from, what his destination was, where he might have gone, and tailor a search to the facts that you know about it. It might be a search just along the route that he had planned to fly. It might be that we don't even know exactly. He might be out for just a fun flying time, so we might have to do a search of a tremendous big area. One of the functions that is required of all civil airplanes is that they carry a locator transmitter, and the Civil Air Patrol's airplanes are equipped with a direction finder that can tune to the frequency that that locator transmitter transmits on, and sometimes we can home in on a signal from a downed aircraft, not always. But that had been traditionally the primary search and rescue mission of the Air Force, of the Civil Air Patrol.
And what type of aircraft do you operate on these searches?
The almost exclusively we use high wing airplanes, because that allows us to have a nice, good view of the surrounding countryside. Most of them are manufactured by the Cessna Aircraft Company, and it's their models 172 and 182. They're all single-engine, 4-passenger airplanes, and we typically fly with a crew of 3 Civil Air Patrol persons on board, the pilot being 1, and then 2 observers, 1 on each side of the airplane, so that we can look out both sides and do a search.
And Ken, you touched on Homeland Security earlier. What type of services do you provide for the government and Homeland Security?
Couple of things that we're doing that are kind of interesting. We're beginning to do reconnaissance type activities. We're developing some photographic capabilities so that we can go to a disaster site, go to a site that had some sort of a problem, and get photographic information. We have a couple of specialized cameras that will send back digitally captured imagery through a spacecraft back directly to a ground station. So we have almost instantaneous transmissions of imagery. Those cameras we have only on a couple of our airplanes. The majority of our aircraft carry just handheld cameras. So if it's a need for something relatively instantly, we can do that using the satellite imagery. If it can wait for several hours, then we can bring it back from the handheld cameras.